So good morning all. Welcome for the lecture series of the hydrology and water resources engineering. Today we are going to yesterday we have discussed about the isohydral method, which is used for finding the mean precipitation over an area. That is for the areal distribution, how much average precipitation has been occurred by the particular storm that we had seen. In that we'll go for a briefing the same. In the isohydral method, we used to prepare the map, then we used to draw the positions, mark the positions of the stations and the corresponding recorded rainfalls. Afterwards, we used to draw the isoheights. So isoheights is nothing but the lines of same rainfall or line representing a same rainfall, and we used to calculate, we used to multiply area enclosed by two isoheights in between them by taking average of those two isoheights. For example, 10 and 8, that is its average into the average is 9 into the area, and at the last we used to go for summing of the things, that is a product of the area and the precipitation, and we used to divide it by the total area of the catchment. This is an general idea which we have discussed in the previous session only. So we have discussed the examples also. We have seen this example in the last class, that is the isoheights were given and the areas enclosed by those isoheights were given, and from that we have to find out the average precipitation, where both the isoheights, that is end isoheights, used to have the areas towards them their left and right hand sides respectively. So we had a sketch for that, that is for a 50 it was towards the right hand side area was there, and for 100 centimeters of the isoheight the area was there towards the left hand side. And we have discussed in detail that how to calculate the area and the remaining things. Okay, so instead of wasting much more time over that example, we'll go for the next type of the example, which was remain to be taken in the class, in the yesterday's class rather. So note down the example firstly. It is about the isoheights drawn for a storm which occurred over a drainage basin of an area 950 square kilometer, yielded the following information, and the average rainfall over the basin is a 60.11 meter. That is, if the average rainfall over the basin is 60.11 millimeter, find the missing value, that is x, of area. It means that in this case the average precipitation over the area has been given to us, and it has been asked to calculate the missing value of area here of isoheights. Those are enclosing they're having the limit of 45 and 35 millimeters. So here the data is given as isoheights interval in millimeters, that is 85 to 75, and corresponding area between those two isoheights as a 125 square kilometers. Then next isoheight interval is a 75 to 65, and area enclosed between them is a 236 square kilometers. Then the next isoheight interval is a 65 to 55, and area enclosed between them is a 264 square kilometers. Then in between 55 and 45 millimeters isoheights, the area enclosed is a 175 millimeters, and for the last interval, that is for 45 and 35 millimeters, the area is unknown. But in this case they have given us an average precipitation over that area as a 60.11. so if this is the case, that is if the average precipitation accounts for a 60.11 millimeter, then what could be the magnitude of that missing area, or the area which is shown here by x? So we have to find out that. Here for this example, I have prepared the solution in the form of the tabular form rather we can say. The isoheights, those were given to us in millimeters in the range of 85 to 75, 75 to 65, 65 to 55, 45 to 50, 55 to 45, and 45 to 35. Okay, and then the average isoheight, that is a precipitation we can say in the millimeters, it is average of those two. It is 85 to 75 is 80, 75 to 65 is a 70, then 60, 50, and 40, isn't it? And the area covered by those isoheids or lying in between those two isoheids is in square kilometers, which is given to us in the example itself. That is for first one, that is in between 85 to 75. Now it will be covered by only 80 millimeter rainfall, we can say. It is 125 square kilometer. Then for 70 millimeter rainfall, the area covered is 236 square kilometer. Then for 60 millimeter rainfall, the area covered is 264 square kilometer. And a 50 millimeter rainfall, which is average of 55 and 45, is a 175 square kilometer. And that of for the last one, that is in between 45 and 35, that it's average as a 40 millimeter, the area covered is a X, that is unknown to us, isn't it? So I have taken the area summation of the area also because it is required in the further analysis. So it accounts for 800 plus X. Then the next part, that is a product of the areas and the average precipitation. That is for first one, we can say here, that is 125 into 80. Then that is the area into average precipitation or average isoheight, we can say. It accounts for 10,000. Then 70 into 236, it's a 16,520. Then a 60 into 264, it is a 15,840. Then for 15 to 175, it's about 8,750. And last one, that is a 40 into X, that is a 40X, we can say. So here also the summation is 5,110 plus 40X. You would check that summations also. This is a summation which I did herein, that is I got from my analysis, my calculations, we can say. And similarly for the area, that is the net summation of the area is about 800 plus X. Now for the average precipitation, we are knowing that summation AIPI upon the total area is equals to the average precipitation. So average precipitation is given as 60.11 millimeter. Then in the numerator, that is the product of the area and the average isoheight, that is nothing but the 51,110 plus 40X upon the summation of the area, that is 800 plus X. So here now we are getting by formula, that is average precipitation is equals to product of summation AIPI, that is average areas into the average precipitation divided by total area. So we got the product of summation AIPI as a 5,110 plus 40X upon 800 plus X is equals to 60.11. तर मी इथं काय केलेलं आहे, तर जस्ट जे काही आपल्या व्हॅल्यू पाठीमागच्या कॅल्क्युलेशन्स मध्ये आलेल्या होत्या त्या सर्वच्या सर्व व्हॅल्यूज मी आहे अशा पुढे घेतलेल्या आहेत. म्हणजेच आपल्या फॉर्म्युलामध्ये मी ते पुटअप केलेले आहेत. average precipitation 60.11 आहे. न्यूमरेटर काय होतं आपला समेशन AIPI, that is a 5,110 plus 40X, and denominator काय आहे तर total area, that is 800 plus X. Now just take down this term, that is the denominator towards the right hand side. So you will get the equation like this. It is numerator, that is a 5,110 plus 40X is equals to 800 plus X into 60.11. Now just to do the calculations, that is 5,110 plus 40X is equals to 800 into 60.11, that is 48088. Okay, just to do the check the calculations also side by side. It is 48088 plus 60.11 into X, that is a 60.11X. Now take down the constant terms towards the one side and variable terms to one side. Variable is X we are considering herein, or the terms those are having X with them, take down to them towards the one side, and other terms take down to the one side. So we'll go for that now. So here 5,110 minus 48088. I have taken this 48088 towards the left hand side. Here it was having the plus sign, it will become negative now, is equals to 60.11X as it is. Here 40X is there, plus is there, here it will be minus 40X, isn't it? Then to do the summation, so this sum accounts for 3022, whereas this sum, that is 60.11 minus 40, is a 20.11. Now X will be equals to 3022 upon 20.11. So that is equals to 150.27 square kilometers. Okay, so roundabout the answer is the 150 square kilometer, and we have to assume that the whatever the value of total area is given in the example itself, that is given by mistake. So by this way, you will get the magnitudes as a 150.27 square kilometer. Now we are going to proceed for the next part, that is a depth area duration curves. They are also called as DAD. That is a depth area duration. Now here the depth is nothing but the depth of the precipitation. Means whatever the rainfall which has been occurred, due to that rainfall, how much amount of the rainfall amount we have collected in the centimeters, millimeters, etc. That recorded depth of the rainfall is nothing but the depth. Whereas the next term, that is the area, that area is nothing but over how much, that recorded rainfall has covered how many units of the area, or which area in terms of the square kilometers or the square meters we can say it has covered. And the duration stands for how much time the rainfall has been occurred. म्हणजे इथं काय काय आहे, डेप्थ म्हणजे काय तर पाऊस पडल्यानंतर ना आपण जे रेकॉर्ड केलेलं आहे त्याची डेप्थ किती आहे. फॉर एक्झाम्पल आपण आपल्या रेनगेजने ते रेकॉर्ड केलं, त्या केसमध्ये आपल्याला 10 सेंटीमीटर एवढा रेनफॉल रेकॉर्ड झाला इन 1 डे और इन 1 वीक वी कॅन से. त्यानंतर ना तो जो पडलेला पाऊस आहे ते मोजलेलं जे त्याचं 10 सेंटीमीटर आहे त्याची डेप्थ झाली. तर एरिया म्हणजे काय असणार, तर तो किती एरियावरती पडला, म्हणजे पूर्ण पंढरपूरवरती पडला की जसं आपण पाठीमागे एक्झाम्पल घेतलो की पंढरपूर ते फलटण, की पंढरपूर ते गोपाळपूर, की गोपाळपूर ते कॉलेज, हा किती एरिया त्यांनी कव्हर केला, आणि ड्युरेशन म्हणजे किती वेळ तो पाऊस पडला. ह्या तिघांचं जे रिलेशन येतो आणि त्यांचा जो आपण ग्राफ ट्रेस करतो, दॅट ग्राफ इज कॉल्ड एज अ डेप्थ एरिया ड्युरेशन कर्व्स. Now, number of the times we used to find that though the rainfall used to occur, but it used to vary in terms of the intensity and its aerial distribution also. It means that during an occurrence, a rainfall used to vary in its intensity and its coverage of the area, that is aerial distribution we can say. It means that we used to find that we could consider here an area in between, once again, that is Paltan and Pandharpur. If the storm has started, then we used to find that the rainfall is varying. It means that it may happen that the rainfall have its maximum intensity near to the Pandharpur, then a less intensity while moving towards the Paltan, and again the higher intensity at the Paltan. म्हणजे याच एरियामध्ये ज्यावेळेस पाऊस पडतो त्यावेळेस त्याचं प्रमाण जे राहतं ते नेहमी बदलत जातं. म्हणजे काही ठिकाणी मोठा पाऊस पडतो, काही ठिकाणी रिमझिम पडतो, काही ठिकाणी मीडियम पडतो, काही ठिकाणी ऍव्हरेज पडतो. म्हणजे त्या एरियामध्ये पडत असताना त्याचं जे व्हॅरिएशन आहे ते व्हॅरिएशन बदलत आहे. दॅट मीन्स इट्स अ changing in its aerial distribution and its frequency we can say. And a duration also means what? So suppose that the rainfall has started and it is raining at its maximum intensity. It stands or it lasts for some duration. Afterwards it changes its intensity. It starts at the less intensity and again for a less, or it may increase. It means that the duration also of that same storm which is yielding a rainfall over in, or the rainfall from a same storm we can say, it used to show the variations in terms of the various parameters. That is, it's the aerial distribution here and it's a intensity. मग अशा केस मध्ये काय करायचं, किंवा मग हे असं जर का डिस्ट्रीब्युशन असेल तर आपण जो मेजर केलेला रेनफॉल आहे किंवा जे आपल्याला आउटलेटला कॅचमेंटच्या आउटलेटला जो मिळणारा रन ऑफ आहे त्याचं मॅग्निट्यूड आपण कसं काढू शकणार किंवा कसं गृहीत धरणार, किंवा त्याचं डिझाईन आस्पेक्ट मध्ये कॅल्क्युलेशनला कोणतं घ्यायचं. तर अशा केसेसमध्ये हे डेप्थ एरिया ड्युरेशन कर्वचं अनालिसिस करणं खूप इसेन्शियल राहतं. मीन्स फॉर द डिझाईन ऑफ हायड्रॉलिक स्ट्रक्चर्स सच एज द डॅम्स, then spillways, then the culverts, etc. It's so much essential to know about how much maximum precipitation or how much maximum rainfall is going to occur, or it has been occurred in a particular region or the area where you are going to have an hydraulic structure, it is a dam or culvert or the weir. So अशा केसेस मध्ये जर का आपल्याला एखादं हायड्रॉलिक स्ट्रक्चर बांधायचं असेल तर त्या केसमध्ये आपल्याला पडणाऱ्या पावसाचं जास्तीत जास्त इंटेन्सिटी किती आहे, तो किती वेळासाठी पडतो आणि त्याच्यामुळे जनरेट होणारा व्हॉल्यूम जे आहे म्हणजे आपल्या भाषेमध्ये फ्लड, पूर किती आहे तयार होतो, जेणेकरून आपण स्ट्रक्चर बांधल्यानंतर ना ते बरोबर सर्वच्या सर्व गोष्टी आपल्याला अकोमोडेट करता आले पाहिजे आहेत. या सर्व गोष्टींसाठी आपल्याला डेप्थ एरिया ड्युरेशन कर्व्ह हे तयार करावे लागतात. मग बऱ्याच वेळा काय होतं की हे तयार कसे करायचे ना, how to go for preparing the depth area duration curves. So we'll summarize the things now, how to go for that. So in as the areal distribution and the intensity of the rainfall from a particular storm shows the variation. म्हणजे एकाच वेळेस जर का पाऊस पडत असेल तर तो एका ठिकाणी जास्त पडतो, दुसऱ्या ठिकाणी कमी पडतो, की त्याचं व्हॅरिएशन राहतं. मग याच्यामुळे काय होतं की बऱ्याच वेळा आपण असं ऑब्झर्व करतो की स्टॉर्मचं जे म्हणजे किंवा पाऊस पडत असताना त्याची मॅक्झिमम इंटेन्सिटी कुठेतरी सेंटरला असते, त्या स्टॉर्मच्या सेंटरला असते, आणि हळूहळू जसं आपण सेंटर पासून बाहेर जाऊ तसं तसं त्याची इंटेन्सिटी ही हळूहळू कमी होत जाते. इट मीन्स दॅट द मॅक्झिमम रेनफॉल ऑकर्स जनरली ॲट द सेंटर ऑफ द स्टॉर्म and it goes on reducing towards the periphery. That is, the average depth of the rainfall decreases from center of storm towards the periphery. म्हणजे इथं याचा अर्थ काय होतो तर एखादी जर का स्टॉर्म असेल, एखाद्या स्टॉर्म पासून पाऊस पडत असेल तर त्या स्टॉर्म पासून पडणाऱ्या पावसाचं पर्जन्यमान जे आहे ते जास्तीत जास्त हे त्याच्या सेंटरला राहतं स्टॉर्मच्या, आणि जसं आपण सेंटर पासून बाहेर जाऊ तसं तसं आपल्याला ते हळूहळू कमी होत गेलेलं दिसतं. ओके, then the next point about it is that the difference between the maximum precipitation that is from the center, that is precipitation at the center and the precipitation at the periphery, म्हणजे रेनफॉल जो सेंटरला होता स्टॉर्मच्या आणि जो रेनफॉल तो स्टॉर्मच्या पेरिफेरीवरती होता, ह्या दोघांमधला जो डिफरन्स आहे दॅट डिफरन्स इन्क्रीजेस विथ इन्क्रीज इन एरिया. म्हणजे काय, जेवढा एरिया कव्हर केलेला त्या स्टॉर्मने जास्त असेल तेवढा तो डिफरन्स वाढत जातो. म्हणजेच काय की जेवढा तो स्टॉर्मचा डायमीटर मोठा असणार, जास्त असणार, म्हणजे काय, समजा पूर्णपणे होल डिस्ट्रिक्ट वरती, म्हणजे समजा आपण सोलापूर डिस्ट्रिक्ट घेतला किंवा पुणे डिस्ट्रिक्ट घेतली, पुणे डिस्ट्रिक्ट वरती जर का एका स्टॉर्मने पाऊस पडत असेल त्या केसमध्ये सेंटर पासून जसं आपण पेरिफेरीवरती जाऊ त्या केसमध्ये जो काय डिफरन्स असणार आहे रेनफॉल मेजर केलेला, त्या रेनफॉल मेजर केलेला डिफरन्स हा हळूहळू वाढत जाणार आहे. तेच जर का आपण पुणे जिल्ह्यापासून 2 जिल्हे घेतले, 2 डिस्ट्रिक्ट कन्सिडर केले, समजा पुणे आणि ऍडजस्टंट टू दॅट सोलापूर घेतला, एरिया वाढला म्हणजे पुन्हा काय झालं, तो जो डिफरन्स आहे सेंटरच्या ठिकाणी पडलेला पाऊस आणि पेरिफेरल ठिकाणी पडलेला पाऊस याचं व्हॅरिएशन वाढत जाणार. ते जर का पुन्हा आपण पूर्ण महाराष्ट्र कन्सिडर केला, यू विल कन्सिडर होल महाराष्ट्र, in that case it also going on increasing and increasing. It means that with an increase in the area of the precipitation or the storm, we can say that the difference between average precipitation at the center and at the periphery goes on increases, whereas it decreases. Who decreases? That difference, that is the maximum rainfall and the minimum rainfall, ह्या दोघांमधला जो डिफरन्स आहे it decreases when it with the increase in a time duration of a rainfall. It means that if the rainfall is going to last for so long duration, it is for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, we can say. In that case, whatever the difference in the precipitation amount which we are finding, that difference is going on reducing and reducing. The next point about the same is generally the longer duration storms yields the more average rainfall depth and vice versa. What does it mean about if a particular storm lasts for a longer duration, say a whole night or a 1 day and 1 night, we can say it is 24 hours, we can say. If the rainfall event continued for a 24 hours, in that case it yields in a more average rainfall, means the whatever the area it has been covered by that a storm which yielded which has been occurred for a 24 hours, it yields a maximum average rainfall. म्हणजे त्याचा अर्थ काय की 24 तास किंवा 2 दिवस म्हणजे 48 hours जर का पाऊस पडला तर त्या पावसामुळे जे एव्हरेज प्रेसिपिटेशन होणार आहे ते एव्हरेज प्रेसिपिटेशनचं मॅग्निट्यूड हे जास्त असणार आहे, त्याच्यापेक्षा कमी ड्युरेशनच्या प्रेसिपिटेशन मुळे होणाऱ्या डेप्थ पेक्षा, isn't it? आणि व्हाईस वर्सा, म्हणजे व्हाईस वर्सा म्हणजे रिव्हर्स कंडिशन राहणार, म्हणजे की शॉर्टर ड्युरेशनचा जर का पाऊस पडला, स्टॉर्म पडली, तर त्या ठिकाणी मिळणारे जे अवरेज प्रेसिपिटेशन आहे ते कमी असणार आहे. ओके, देन द नेक्स्ट पॅरामीटर्स रिलेटेड टू दॅट इज, हे आता आपण बघितलं की बाबा रे हे असं होत आहे की बाबा whenever we used to have an particular storm, in that case there used to have a variation in the distribution and the occurrence, isn't it? Then what to do about all those things? Because as I have explained in the previous part also, as we are interested in collecting that water for the various purposes and we want to store by having the hydraulic structures such as the dams, etc. So for construction of the dams, we used to design them for a some amount. That means if you are constructing a some dam, then it is designed for a particular capacity. And to know about that capacity is nothing but the storage capacity. And storage capacity is nothing but the amount of the water which has been yielded due to the storms itself. जे पाऊस पडल्यानंतर जो काही पाणी येणार आहे तेच पाणी आपण त्या डॅम मध्ये स्टोअर करणार आहे. मग त्या डॅम मध्ये जर का आपण स्टोअर करणार असेल तर त्या डॅमने किती स्टोअर करायला पाहिजे आहे, तर ती कॅपॅसिटी आपण ठरवायची असते. मग ती कॅपॅसिटी आपण कशावर ठरवतो, तर एक तर आपण आपला रिक्वायरमेंट कन्सिडर करतो, म्हणजे आपल्याला इरिगेशनला पाहिजे, ड्रिंकिंगला पाहिजे, की इतर कोणत्या पर्पजेसला पाहिजे आहे, या सर्व रिक्वायरमेंट्स कन्सिडर करून आपण डिझाईन करतो. त्याचं एक पॅरामीटर झालं. आणि दुसरं म्हणजे काय, आता आपल्या रिक्वायरमेंट भरपूर आहेत, समजा आपल्याला 100 TMC एवढ्या कॅपॅसिटी आपल्याला लागणार आहे, एवढं आपल्याला पाणी थ्रू आउट द इयर लागणार आहे. ओके, परंतु जो पाऊस पडणार आहे तो फक्त 10 TMC आपल्याला त्या आउटलेटला देणार आहे, कॅचमेंटच्या आउटलेटला फक्त 10 TMC मिळणार आहे. तर त्या केसमध्ये आपण 100 TMC कॅपॅसिटीचं रिझर्वायर किंवा डॅम कन्स्ट्रक्ट करणार नाहीये, because this is an unnecessary wasting the huge amount over that. So to design such type of the structures which will have an adequate capacity or which will have an optimum capacity, or those are going to meet the all the requirements, those are nothing but the needs and the requirement in terms of the whatever the yield of the water which we are getting from the rainfall, that all the requirements it has to be get matched with each other. So for the design of hydraulic structures such as dams, culverts, etc., it is essential to know about the maximum depth of the rainfall for a particular time duration that will occur. That means if we are knowing the maximum depth, then by multiplying the area, you will get the volume. That is the capacity, we can say, in terms of the duration. So that means we are interested here to know about the maximum amount of the flow that will occur. That is the flood, we can say, isn't it? Or on other hand, we can say the minimum flow in that particular river that is at the outlet of the catchment. Then in such cases, the distribution of rainfall over an area for a certain duration and the resulting in a particular depth by a various duration are plotted and termed as a depth area duration curves. Now we have seen that now why to go for depth area duration curves, why it is required, why it is essential. Now how to construct them. So as I have explained that in the previous part also, for a particular storm also there is a variation in its intensity. Means if the rainfall has ended for the say 4 hours, in that case we used to observe that for first hour its intensity was so high, then for second hour it's a medium, then less, and again increasing or decreasing in order. It means that for a particular storm also there is a variation in its variation in the intensity of the rainfall. So in such cases, for creation of the depth area duration curve, we have to firstly prepare the mass curve, isn't it? So mass curve is nothing but now the cumulative rainfall versus the time. From that mass curve, you will get the intensities and the durations of the rainfall for a particular event. It means that if you are finding the peak in the mass curve, in that case, you will be able to find out the intensity for that particular time duration, isn't it? So we got the intensity now. From that, you will get the depth area, and then how to plot that against the area. Okay, and the duration also we got therein. So the steps are nothing but the firstly we have to consider one of the severe most storm. This part, suppose that in a month of the July there has been occurred a rainfall due to the various storms. Means the 1st July, 2nd July, 3rd July, 9th July, 11th July, etc. It means that due to different storms, the rainfall has been occurred. So firstly, we have to consider the severe most, means which has yielded the maximum rainfall. ज्याच्यामुळे सर्वात जास्त पाऊस पडला असे स्टॉर्म सुरुवातीला सिलेक्ट करायचे. ती कुठे पडली? एका ठराविक एरियामध्ये पडली. आपण त्या पर्टिक्युलर रिजन आपण कन्सिडर केला. त्या रिजन मध्ये जो काही स्टॉर्म झाला, जो काही पाऊस पडत गेला, त्या पावसापैकी एक जास्तीत जास्त पडलेल्या पावसाचा आपण काय करायचं? तो स्टॉर्म सिलेक्ट करायचा. अँड आफ्टर दॅट वी हॅव टू प्लॉट द isohedral map. Means firstly we have to prepare the mass curve, and from the mass curve we have to go for isohedral map, that is intensity of the rainfall, that is centimeters per hour or millimeters per hour versus time duration. Okay, that is isohedral map, and the mass curves we have to prepare. After that, from the mass curve, the various durations of a maximum rainfall are noted. Now, as we have seen in the previous part, that is for the mass curve. From the mass curve, we came to know, or we come to know about for how much duration the maximum intensity rainfall has been occurred, isn't it? So from that we used to note down the durations of the maximum rainfall, and from this data, that is a maximum rainfall depth, that is a maximum precipitation we can say, then area of that storm, that is how much area of that particular catchment over which that rainfall has been occurred, and the duration for which it has been lasted. म्हणजे तो मॅक्झिमम रेनफॉल किती होता? 10 सेंटीमीटर होता, 20 सेंटीमीटर होता, 40 सेंटीमीटर होता. तो किती कॅचमेंट एरियावरती पडला? समजा 100 स्क्वेअर किलोमीटर एरियावरती पडला, आणि किती वेळ पडला? म्हणजे समजा एक 10 तास पडला. हा डाटा आपल्याकडे मिळाला. मीन्स वी गॉट द डेप्थ, वी गॉट द एरिया, अँड वी गॉट द ड्युरेशन ऑल्सो. नाव दॅट वी हॅव टू plot on the same graph. Means 3 entities we have to go for on the same graph. We'll see that how to go for. Then this we have seen for a particular storm, that is a severe most storm we have considered. Again, the same methodology, same procedure is adapted for all the storms in that particular area. Okay, म्हणजे आपण काय केलं की एका पर्टिक्युलर स्टॉर्म घेतला, एक पर्टिक्युलर पाऊस पडलेला घेतला, त्याचा आपण काय केलं? मास कर्व काढला. मास कर्व काढून आपण काय केलं? त्याच्या आयसोहाइडल मॅप तयार केला. म्हणजे काय केलं आपण? त्याचा फ्रिक्वेन्सी सॉरी इंटेन्सिटी ड्युरेशन कर्व काढला. इंटेन्सिटी ड्युरेशन कर्व आपण काय कळालं? तर किती वेळासाठी जास्तीत जास्त पाऊस पडला आणि त्याची इंटेन्सिटी काय होती हे कळालं. आपल्याला तिथं टाइम ड्युरेशन ही कळाला. एरिया आपल्याला माहित होता किती एरियावरती पडला, म्हणजे आपल्याला डेप्थ कळाली किती होती, किती पाऊस पडला, ते एरिया किती होता तो कळाला, आणि नंतर आपल्याला काय कळालं? त्याचं ड्युरेशन म्हणजे टाइम कळाला. ह्या तिन्ही गोष्टी कळाल्या. ह्या कुणाच्या? एका पर्टिक्युलर स्टॉर्मच्या कळाल्या. नंतर काय केलं आपण? ही प्रोसिजर त्या सर्व स्टॉर्मला अप्लाय करायची. तर सर्व स्टॉर्म्स म्हणजे कोणकोणत्या आल्या? तर त्या कॅचमेंट एरियामध्ये पूर्णपणे मान्सून मध्ये, म्हणजे फ्रॉम जून टू द ऑक्टोबर वी कॅन से, टू द रिटर्न पिरियड. म्हणजे आपण म्हणतो की आपल्याकडे परतीचा पाऊस खूप पडतो, मग जर का तोही आपण कन्सिडर केला तर जर का तो ऑक्टोबर पर्यंत एंड होतो, म्हणजे जून ते ऑक्टोबर पर्यंत जेवढे काही पाऊस पडले त्या सर्व पाऊस पडलेल्याचा डेटा आपल्याला सेम प्रोसेसने अनालाइज करायचा आहे. म्हणजे काय करायचं आहे? त्याचा मास इनफ्लो कर्व तयार करायचा आहे, आयसोहाइड मॅप तयार करायचा आहे, आणि त्यानुसार आपल्याला मॅक्झिमम डेप्थ, त्याचा एरिया आपल्याला माहित असणार आहे, आणि ड्युरेशन हे सर्वच्या सर्व अनालाइज करून आपल्याला ते एका ग्राफवरती मार्क करायचं आहे. हाऊ टू प्रिपेअर दॅट ग्राफ? आय विल शो दॅट आयडियल एक्झाम्पल्स ऑल्सो. दिस इज वन ऑफ द depth area duration curve. Here this x-axis represents the area, that is a storm area or the catchment area over which this storm has been occurred, and the y-axis represents here, that is average depth of the precipitation. Whereas this indicates the duration for which, or duration for in which that storm has been occurred. Means for a 3-day storm here we are finding 2-day storm, 1-day storm. म्हणजे काय? 1 दिवस पाऊस पडला, 2 दिवस पाऊस पडला, 3 दिवस पाऊस पडला. ह्या सर्वच्या सर्व पडलेल्या पावसामध्ये ज्या काही कंडिशन्स होत्या किंवा तो पडलेला पाऊस होता, त्याच्यामुळे जे वेगवेगळे पॅरामीटर्स आपल्याला जे मिळालेले आहेत, आपण जे कॅल्क्युलेट केले, म्हणजे जी इंटेन्सिटी काढली आपण, त्याचे ड्युरेशन काढला, आणि मॅक्झिमम प्रेसिपिटेशन काढलं. मग मॅक्झिमम प्रेसिपिटेशन आपल्याला काय मिळालं? as we have discussed in a previous task also, that for a small duration storms they yields a less average precipitation. म्हणजे कमी वेळ पडलेला पाऊस हा कमी पर्जन्यमान देतो. तर जास्त वेळ पडलेला पाऊस हा आपल्याला जास्त पर्जन्यमान म्हणजे जास्त पाणी देतो आपल्या भाषेमध्ये. म्हणजेच काय, फॉर 1 day ड्युरेशन स्टॉर्म वी गॉट अबाउट 26 centimeter as an average rainfall, isn't it? That for a 2 day storm, म्हणजे 2 दिवस पाऊस पडला होता. For 2 day storm we got the average precipitation about 41 centimeters, and that for a 3 day storm it has yielded about 45 centimeters of the rainfall, isn't it? ही काय आहे, ऍव्हरेज आहे. म्हणजे एका दिवसामध्ये पाऊस पडला त्यावेळेस आपल्याला साधारणतः 26 ते 27 सेंटीमीटर मिळालं. 2 दिवस कंटिन्युअस पाऊस पडला ते स्टॉर्म, तिचं आपल्याला किती मिळालं, 41 ते 42 मिळालं. आणि 3 दिवसासाठी काय किती मिळालं आपल्याला, 45 मिळालं. म्हणजे जेवढा ड्युरेशन जास्त तेवढी ऍव्हरेज डेप्थ जास्त. आणि जेवढा एरिया, आता समजा आपण एरिया एवढा कन्सिडर केला, म्हणजे समजा सो स्मॉल एरिया ओनली पंढरपूर यू हॅव कन्सिडर्ड, देन यू विल फाइंड दॅट फॉर अ स्मॉल एरियाज the distribution is the variation is so less. Here you will get idea, the variation is so less. But once the area increases, that is along the x-axis, when we used to proceed from 0 to 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 square kilometers, then we used to found that the average precipitation depth goes on reducing and reducing. Okay, that example we have considered for a whole India. If you consider for a particular storm, its magnitude goes on reducing and reducing, isn't it? So this is about the depth area duration curve. This is an ideal one I have taken from the book. Another one also I have taken one. We'll go for that also. Here, this is I have taken from the K. Subramania's book. So area in square kilometers on the x-axis, the maximum average depth, that is on the centimeters on the y-axis, and for that duration over this catchment area, that is catchment area about the 5 into 10 raised to 3, it means about the 5,000 square kilometer area, whatever the storms has been occurred, due to that storm, whatever the maximum precipitation has been occurred, it has been recorded and it has been plotted on the with its average depth in a centimeter on the y-axis and its area along the x-axis. So as we are finding here also, for the 8 centimeters, about 8 centimeters maximum depth, that storm which has occurred for the 1 hour only, which has been occurred for the 1 hour only, it's a aerial extent you will go for, if we are finding that it is for 1 hour duration, it's a maximum precipitation is so less. Whereas which has been ended for the 18 hours, means for the 18 hours we are finding here, it's a maximum average precipitation is so high, that is about 28. Whereas for 6 hours it's more than 1 hour, and for 12 hours it is more than 1 and 6 hours, and 18 hours it is the highest one. And with increase in the area, its magnitudes goes on in decreasing and decreasing, isn't it? So magnitude of what? Magnitude of average precipitation. म्हणजे जसं जसं आपण त्या सेंटर पासून पुढे पुढे जाऊ तसं तसं काय होणार आहे, त्याचं जे डिस्ट्रीब्युशन आहे ते डिस्ट्रीब्युशन हळूहळू कमी कमी होत जाणार आहे. मीन्स at the center we used to observe the maximum precipitation, whereas while moving from center towards the periphery we used to observe that the precipitation is so less. And such type of the data is essential for the design of hydraulic structures. So this is about the depth area duration curves. Okay, now we'll go for next part. That is the next point in our syllabus is about the evaporation. Now in the beginning only I discussed that what does it mean about evaporation, or evaporation means what. So what is mean by evaporation? So evaporation is nothing but the change of the phase of the water from the liquid state to the vapor state, we can say. म्हणजे ज्या वेळेस पाण्याचं रूप कन्वर्जन हे पेपर मध्ये होतं त्यावेळेस आपण त्याला इव्हॅपोरेशन म्हणणार आहे. क्लियर? दिस इज as simple as. So evaporation is nothing but, just a minute. So the process by which the water changes its state to the vapor is nothing but the evaporation. Clear? Then the vaporization of the water from the plant metabolism mechanism, that is through the plants, we can say, that is the vaporization of the water from the plant bodies, we can say, it is called as a transpiration. Whereas the combination of the evaporation and transpiration is considered as an evaporation. Sorry, evapotranspiration means the vaporization from the surface of the water bodies we can say, and the vaporization from the plants or surfaces of the plants or through the metabolic activities of the plants. Combinedly, it is termed as an evapotranspiration. No doubt that evaporation is nothing but the one of the loss of the rainfall or the precipitation. It means that out of the total rainfall or total precipitation, the whatever the losses is to occur, out of all those losses, I have considered here the first one as evaporation. Other losses are interception losses there, then infiltration losses there, deep percolation is there, etc., etc. Okay, so out of that, first one is evaporation. So evaporation is nothing but the vaporization of the water, whereas transpiration is nothing but the vaporization of the water from the plants are through the metabolic activities of the plants, and the combination of both of them is nothing but the evapotranspiration. Then wherever we used to talk about the evapotranspiration or the evaporation rather, in that case we used to find that the amount of energy energy is required to have an evaporation. So whenever we used to consider that the amount of energy required to have an vaporization of a unit mass of water at constant temperature, that energy is considered as a latent heat of the vaporization or latent heat energy of evaporation. Okay, or vaporization we can say. म्हणजेच काय की युनिट मास असणाऱ्या वॉटर क्वांटिटीचं जर का व्हेपोरायझेशन व्हायचं असेल कॉन्स्टंट टेम्परेचरला, तर त्यावेळेस त्याला काही एनर्जी रिक्वायर होते, एनर्जीची रिक्वायरमेंट असते. That energy which is required to have a vaporization of a unit mass of water at a constant temperature, that is called as a latent heat of evaporation or the vaporization. Okay, so now the next one we will go for after having the idea about the evaporation. Now next one is the factors affecting the evaporation. So the evaporation is an continuous process in which the liquid, that is the water, changes to the gaseous state. Okay, it changes its state from the liquid or from liquid rather to the vapor state at the or from the free surface, that is from the water bodies we can say, and that evaporation takes place at the temperatures below the boiling point. Okay, so why it happens at the below the boiling point? Because whenever that vapor pressure increases, in that case atmospheric pressure decreases, the atmospheric pressure becomes below the vaporization pressure. In that case the vaporization starts automatically, isn't it? And as I had told that it is a continuous process, and due to which, or we can consider that this is the evaporation and transpiration is the main process, or two processes are the main processes or the parameters of the hydrological cycle, because whatever the precipitation is going to occur at the last, it is from the vaporization to the condensation, and then condensation to the again the droplets, the water molecules, then again storage, and again evaporation. The cycle continues. It means that this is an important parameter of the hydrological cycle. So whenever we used to talk about the evaporation, its a main cause or the main source of the evaporation is the solar radiation or the solar energy we can say. Okay, and if you consider the arid regions, for them the magnitude of the evaporation is so high that accounts up to the 80 to 90% of the total annual precipitation. Means suppose that there occurs an 100% 100 millimeters of the precipitation time being, then about the 80 to 90%, it is 80 to 90 millimeter, is to have it goes lost as an evaporation. Okay, so now we will see the what are the different parameters those are affecting the evaporation. Where is that? Just a minute. Okay, so the first parameter which is affecting over the evaporation is the temperature. Now, how the temperature is going to affect? What is the effect of temperature on the precipitation? Sorry, evaporation. temperature increases, evaporation increases, and whenever atmospheric pressure increases, then in that case evaporation reduces. Or in other language we can say, with a reduction in atmospheric pressure, the evaporation goes on increasing and increasing. Now how is it so? The atmospheric pressure becomes less, then evaporation becomes high, and when the atmospheric pressure becomes less, in that case evaporation is high. Or the atmospheric pressure is high, evaporation is so less. How is it so now? मग अशी कंडिशन काय होत असेल, किंवा कोणत्या त्याला फेनॉमेनल कोण रिस्पॉन्सिबल असेल आता इथं? तर इथं जे फेनॉमेनल रिस्पॉन्सिबल राहते तर ती म्हणजे आपली वेपर प्रेशर आपण म्हणूया. ज्या वेळेस ऍटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशरचं मॅग्निट्यूड हे वेपर प्रेशर पेक्षा कमी होणार म्हणजे रिडक्शन होणार, त्यावेळेस इव्हॅपोरेशनचा रेट हा कंपल्सरी वाढणार. It means that indirectly it governs about the vapor pressure. Is it clear? The next parameter which affects on the evaporation is about the wind. Now how the wind is going to affect? With increase in the wind velocity, is the evaporation is going to increase or the evaporation is going to decrease? What will happen if the magnitude of the wind intensity or the wind is going to increase? What is going to happen with the evaporation or the rate of evaporation? So means with still atmosphere conditions, the surface above the water body saturates and results in a ceasing of evaporation, whereas the moving air with a high velocity removes that water vapors and results in enhanced evaporation. It means that with increase in the wind velocity or increase in the wind, the rate of evaporation also increases. The next parameter that is summarized herein, it is with increase in the wind, evaporation also increases, and the vice versa. The next parameter is a humidity. So whenever there is a humid environment or there is a large humidity, in that case the less evaporation will to observe. That means that for more the humidity, lesser is the evaporation, because all the air molecules or all the air which is above that water body gets saturates, and due to that saturation condition there is a ceasing of the evaporation, as explained in the previous one. So means less the humidity, more the evaporation, and more the humidity, less the evaporation rate. The next parameter which affects over the evaporation is the quality of the water. So now if we'll look about the quality of the water, then in that case we used to generally observe that for the fresh water the rate of evaporation is high than that of the water which is containing the salts or the salty water we can say. So why it happens so? Because here that separation part, that is a conversion from the liquid phase of the water to the vapor phase, it requires to have a high latent heat. And whenever that high latent heat is required, so it means that evaporation starts at a particular temperature and the particular atmospheric pressure only. So to enhance that conditions, we should have, okay, I will go for last screen also. So to enhance that conditions, that is a water evaporation, we should have the clear water as we can, fresh water. So here the presence of the salts in the water reduces the evaporation, okay, as I have explained previously. Then as per the standard guidelines, we can say, as per the standards, we can I have taken it from the book itself, that is for the 1% of the salinity, or 1% of the salinity, it results in reduction of evaporation by 1%. Means if you will have the salinity in the water content or the salinity of the water as a 1%, then if we have a previously as a 100% evaporation rate, for an example I am considering 100% as evaporation rate for the fresh water, now we had a 1% salinity in that water, then in that case we used to observe that now there is a reduction in the evaporation by the 1%. It means that now the evaporation will be by 99%, isn't it? Means for addition of the 1% of the salinity, it results in the reduction of the evaporation by 1%. Clear? Then the evaporation rate of the seawater with an average value of the salinity of the 3.5% is about the 2 to 3% less than the evaporation from the fresh water. म्हणजे काय आपण इथं काय म्हटलं की 1% जर का सॅलिनिटी असेल तर 1% ने इव्हॅपोरेशनचा रेट कमी झाला. मग जर का आपण सी वॉटर कन्सिडर केलं ज्याची सॅलिनिटी राऊंड अबाउट 3.5% असं आपण अजून केलं तर त्या केसमध्ये त्याचा इव्हॅपोरेशनचा जो रेट आहे कुणाचा सी वॉटरचा तो आपल्या फ्रेश वॉटर पेक्षा 2 ते 3% कमी होतो. It means that nearly the evaporation rate is directly proportional to the salinity, we can say. Nearly I'm talking about, I'm not talking about exactly, because here we had said that for 1% salinity reduction is by 1%, and here particularly talking about for the seawater and the salinity of 3.5%, it's the evaporation rate is decreased by 2 to 3% than that of the evaporation rate of the fresh water, isn't it? The next parameter is the size of the water surface, that is surface area of the water body. Now what will happen if we increase the surface area of the water body? Is that evaporation is going to increase, or with increase in the exposed area of the water body to the environment or to the sun radiations, we can say, is it going to reduction in the evaporation? जर का आपण वॉटर सरफेस एरिया वाढवला तर इव्हॅपोरेशन ही वाढेल की इव्हॅपोरेशन कमी होईल रे? What will happen now? Surface area will have increased. So here what happens when the, okay, I got the answer also. We'll check the responses first. So now just consider an example. We had an 1 liter of the water, and we have taken it into the, we have poured that 1 liter of water in the 2 pans. Here the one pan is having a diameter say 20 centimeters and other pan is having diameter about the 40 centimeters. It means that in a 40 centimeter diameter pan the exposed water surface is more, whereas for the 10 centimeter diameter pan the exposed area will be the less one, that is only about the 10 centimeter diameter, that is a periphery, we can say, that is a pi by 4 d square, we can say, that will be the surface area. That is a, for first case it will be pi by 4 into 10 square, and in second case it will be pi by 4 into 20 square. म्हणजे आपण एकाचा 10 सेंटीमीटर घेऊया आणि दुसऱ्याचा 20 सेंटीमीटर डायमीटर घेऊया. तर आपण काय केले, हे दोन्ही पॅन्स आपण ना again we have started heating them. We kept it in either on oven or we have kept it on over a gas, and we have provided the same amount of the heat. So here we used to observe that the amount of the water from the pan having the larger diameter vanishes fastly than that of the amount of the water which is there in the pan which is having a less diameter, that is a 10 millimeter. From this observation we used to say that as the surface area increases, the rate of evaporation also increases, because the exposed area increases. It means that as the exposed area increases, it means that the chance for the water molecules to get evaporate increases, because in a 10 centimeter diameter pan the water molecules, those are there at the top surface, they will have the only 10 centimeter square area, we can say pi by 4 into all those things, and in a 20 centimeter diameter pan the waters, that molecules will have the surface area, that is a chance to get evaporate, that is from the 20 square into pi by 4 area, we can say. It means that the molecules, those are getting the chance to get evaporate, to chance to receive the energy, we can say, either from the sun radiations or from other sources, that is more. So with increase in the water surface area, the rate of evaporation also increases. Okay. With increase in surface area exposed to the atmosphere, the evaporation also increases, and the vice versa condition. The next one is the nature of evaporating surfaces. So nature of evaporating surfaces is nothing but from which surface the evaporation is occurring. So evaporation may occur from the water body. Evaporation may occur from the soil. Whenever the soil will be get saturated, from by the water molecules, in that case the evaporation may starts from the water body itself, then that from that soil surface itself, or the water surface, or that surface evaporating surface may be the snow, or etc etc, or that soil may be the barren soil or barren land we can say, or it may be the forest, or it may be the cultivated we can say. So we'll see that now one by one. So types of the soil, if you consider this type of the soil, if there is a black cotton soil and the red soil, in that case we used to observe that the rate of evaporation from the soils, that is a type of the soil, also changes with the other conditions. Okay, so for the red soil, if you consider about the evaporation is a faster we can say. It means that for the black cotton soils, the water evaporation rate of the water is so high than that of the red soil. Why is it so? Because the soils used to have the potential to absorb incoming radiations more effectively. Means for the black cotton soil, if you consider the black cotton soil as a black color used to absorb the maximum radiations. So as the black cotton soil absorbs the maximum radiations, it means that due to the availability of the high energy, the rate of evaporation is so high for the black cotton soil than that of the red soil we can say. Similarly, the soil covers we can say, or the saturation phase we can say. Once that saturation phase means initially from the saturation phase means all the molecules has been filled, all the white spaces of the soil has been filled with the water, and in that case the evaporation rate will be the high. But once that water content of the soil goes on reducing and reducing, in that case the rate of evaporation will be less and less. म्हणजेच काय, जसं जसं मातीमधले पाण्याचे कंटेंट कमी कमी होत जाणार, तस तसा इव्हॅपोरेशनचा रेट सुद्धा कमी कमी होत जाणार. अदर पॅरामीटर्स काय राहतात सॉइलच्या रिलेटेड, तर त्याच्यावरती कल्टिवेशन केलेलं आहे की नाहीये, बॅरन लँड आहे की कल्टिवेटेड लँड आहे. इफ द बॅरन लँड इज देअर, बॅरन म्हणजे पडीक म्हणतो आपण, ज्याच्यावरती आपण काही कल्टिवेशन केलेलं नाहीये. इफ दॅट बॅरन लँड इज देअर, in that case the exposed surface is so more we can say. म्हणजे तिथं एक्सपोज्ड एरिया जास्त झाला म्हणजेच ऑब्विसली काय असणार तिथं, आता तिथून इव्हॅपोरेशनचा रेट जास्त असणार. ऑन अदर हँड इफ इट हॅज बीन कल्टिवेटेड, क्रॉप्स आहेत म्हणजे आपण शेती केलेली आहे थोडक्यात, जर का शेती केलेली असेल तर पूर्णपणे सॉइलचा कव्हर त्या लिव्हजने कुणाच्या त्या क्रॉपच्या कव्हर होणार, म्हणजे त्या सॉइल पासून होणारा इव्हॅपोरेशनचा रेट हा कमी होणार, बिकॉज डायरेक्टली सन रेडिएशन्स आर नॉट be received by the soil. Means that the evaporation rate will be the less when it will be covered. Whereas for the forest and all those cultivated lands, that evaporation rate will be the less one. The next one is the snow. If the snow will be there, in that case it will be required to change the phase to the water, and then there will be the evaporation. It means that whenever there is a change in the surface of the change in the surface from which the evaporation is going to start, with that there is a change in the evaporation rate also. Okay, so this is about an evaporation and the factors affecting the evaporation. Now we'll start for the next part, that is methods to control the evaporation from the reservoirs. So now we came to know that the various reasons or the causes, those are going to enhance and those are going to reduce the evaporation. As evaporation is a loss of the water and we want to conserve the water, it means that to conserve the water, which measures are required so that we will have the water quantity in the reservoirs. I'm not talking about the seas and oceans, I'm talking here about the reservoirs. So if we want to have the quantity of the water in the reservoirs as it is, it's not possible to have as it is. But if we want to have the maximum amount of the reservoirs stored as it is, then in that case which measures are required to take or we have to undertake so that the rate of evaporation will be so less and that stored water will be there in the reservoirs for a longer durations, because evaporation is a natural process and it occurs throughout the year. मग जर का आपल्याला ते पाणी रिझर्वायर मध्ये स्टोअर केलेलं आहे तसं लॉंगर ड्युरेशन साठी पाहिजे असेल, तर त्या केसमध्ये आपल्याला इव्हॅपोरेशन कमी करावं लागेल and to control that evaporation, which things are required to undertake or which precautions we need to undertake, those we are going to discuss now.